How's it, guys? Welcome to the Rust Heli training video 101. This is going to be quite an in-depth training video with proper instructions, demonstrations and exercises for you to practice. So it's probably not going to be a 5-minute video. If it gets too long, I'll split it up into multiple videos. This tutorial was requested by one of my subscribers, my first video request. I know there's plenty of how to fly heli videos out there, but that's not a good enough reason not to do another one. This one's going to be different, as I'm going to apply proper training techniques. This video is meant to be watched while you are flying or between, so it would be best if you could watch this video on a tablet or smartphone while playing Rust on your PC while flying a heli. I've been flying RC choppers and drones for years, and I've taught many a student to fly in a relatively short amount of time. Choppers take a lot longer and are a lot more expensive to fix if you crash, so they can be a bit of a problem. Drones fly themselves. Rust helis, well, obviously they respawn for free. Strangely enough, even in Rust as a noob, you get a bit of the jitters when flying. Obviously this is caused by adrenaline. The first time I tried the heli in Rust, I had no idea what to expect. I put in 30 low grade, climbed in the pilot seat, pressed buttons until I got enough height to experiment. Then it ended badly. I managed to land without dying, but it was far from anything graceful. I was more confident now after flying it, figuring out what does what. So I tried again, forgetting I only had I only put 30 low grade in the tank. I was above the trees when I ran out of fuel, and the inevitable happened. From then on, I thought, screw it. My next mission in Rust is to learn how to fly the heli. So flying the heli on normal servers is great, but you have to farm low grade. You have to find a heli. People steal the shit. It creates more anxiety than anything else. So you either find a dedicated server that has like a flight school, or you start your own dedicated Rust server. After, I'd say, number of hours, I was getting pretty good. Not stunt good, but I was a safe pilot. Just because you can fly a real RC chopper doesn't mean you can instantly fly a Rust heli. But the skills are mostly transferable. It's just the method of control that varies. You have man-sized cyclic pedals, rotor pitch and throttle in a real chopper. In RC, you have 2 little sticks that do everything, and Rust, you have 4 keys and a mouse. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you have 0 previous knowledge of flying anything with a spinning wing. I will try and use as little technical jargon, if any, as possible. Flying a chopper is akin to balancing on a ball. Not easy at all, but Face Punch have made it a lot more user-friendly than an actual chopper. But not as easy as a drone, unfortunately. Drones self-level, helis don't. More on this later. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to split this tutorial into 5 modules. Module 1 will be flight mechanics. Module 2, flight controls. Module 3, basic flight maneuvers. Module 4, advanced flight maneuvers. And Module 5, Rust specific tips and tricks. Module 1, flight mechanics. First we're going to cover the basics of helicopter flight mechanics. A chopper is made up of 3 main components: the power plant and 2 rotors. We don't have to worry about the power plant, as it doesn't factor into Rust anyway, other than you have to give it low grade. The main rotor, this is a spinning wing that generates the lift that allows the helicopter to ascend and concurrently descend. In Rust, the pitch of the rotor blades are fixed, so that's a control we don't have to worry about. It also tilts in 2 axes, which allows the heli to pitch forward and backwards, as well as roll from side to side. In full size and RC choppers, this is achieved with a swash plate mechanism that changes the angle of attack of the blades at the specific points you want. So if you want to pitch forward, the main rotor pitch of the blade would increase at the back of the heli and decrease at the front. This is controlled by your swash plate. The heli in Rust, it kind of looks like a swash plate heli mechanism, but a very, very basic one. And also, it's difficult to explain how these mechanisms in words. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in how swash plates work, etc. So the second main component in the heli is the tail rotor. The tail rotor controls your horizontal rotation, or yaw. It also counteracts the centrifugal force generated by the main rotor and stops the heli from spinning in the opposite direction to the main rotor. For proper control of the heli, you'll be using the mouse, throttle, and your controls all simultaneously. In the beginning, it's not that critical that you use them all at the same time. You can use your left, right, back, forward, and throttle, and then once you're in a stable hover, then you can use your yaw. But when you start doing more advanced like flying, then you need to use all 3 controls at the same time. Module 2. Flight controls. Flying the heli requires both the mouse and the WASD keys on your keyboard. The mouse is your cyclic and the keyboard your throttle and rudder. Now, your cyclic, as I said before, just controls your bank left, bank right, pitch forward, pitch backwards, or roll left, roll right. W makes the heli ascend, it's the throttle. S makes it descend. A rotates the heli to the left, and D rotates it to the right. So that's your left and your right. Moving your mouse forward will pitch the heli forward. Moving it backwards will do the opposite. And left and right will make the heli roll left and right respectively. That covers the basics of the controls. But there is one thing to bear in mind, that when you are at a hover and you are feathering the W, the throttle key, just to keep it at that specific height, and you bank to the left or you roll to the left, because of that roll, you're going to have to increase your throttle. Otherwise, the chopper is going to start to slowly but surely dive down to that way. And same goes for if you want to go forward. As you tilt the helicopter forward, or the heli forward, you're going to start increasing speed but losing altitude. So you need to increase throttle to keep that altitude correct. Now, the biggest problem is there's a very specific balance. If you go too far forward, you don't have enough throttle, or you don't have enough power to pull you out of the dive. So you have to play around with how far forward you can actually go with the amount of power that the chopper's got. And basically that covers the flight controls. This is the explanation of the control surfaces of the minicopter. Right there's your joystick or your cyclic. It's connected to shafts and gears and all types of stuff to what looks to be like a swash plate and a drive shaft. There's your main rotor, the swash plate obviously, your rotor blades. They look very salvaged. Whole thing looks like a boat trailer. It's even got boat trailer wheels. And you've got your left and right pedals that control your rudder or your rear rotor, controls your yaw. And you've got a stop sign on the back and a go sign on the other side with your rear rotor. Lovely wheels. Awesome lawnmower engine. It's a 2-seater too, so you've got a gunner up front. Oh, and the fuel gauge. 300 low grade gives you 16 minutes flight time. Okay, so this video shows you a typical overcompensation of your cycling. I put it here so that you won't make a mistake in the flight maneuvers coming up. So, you know, you go left, you think, oh, too much left. Then you go right, oh, too much right. And then you go, oh, too much right. And then you go, oh, fuck, you're upside down and you're dead. So, yeah. Little, small, gentle movements. None of this slapping the bitch around. So, try that. Alright, in the basic flight maneuvers, we're going to be covering taking off, hovering and landing, basic flight patterns, speed over ground, etc. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to use the W key to take off and maintain an altitude. And using your mouse, hopefully you've dialed down the mouse sensitivity. Now you'll find that when you first lift off, the heli will have a propensity to tilt towards the back, so you just have to compensate for that by pushing your mouse a little bit forward. Then once you in a stable hover with 0 ground speed, so you're not moving over the ground on either way, slowly but sure, either let go of W and then you'll slowly descend, or you can press S to descend quicker. And just before you get to the ground, just give it a few blips of W, just for a nice soft landing like that. Okay, now we're going to be pitching forward, so do as you did before, get a nice stable hover and slowly push your mouse forward, not too fast, and then bring it back. Now you have to compensate for your forward speed, so you can't just bring it back to level, you actually have to bring it back to level and then a bit further back to stop your forward momentum. And same goes for doing it backwards. So you would pull back your mouse, let it go back to where it was, and then push it forward again to level off. See, it's going backwards, going backwards, going backwards. Stop. And push forward. While maintaining your altitude as well as your roll. Okay, now move your mouse to the right and do exactly the same. Move it to the left again. You see your level out. Then move it to the left again. You'll carry on sliding and then compensate very slowly, very slowly. Treat the heli like a girl or woman. Gently, gently. You don't slap it around. You slap it around, it'll crash on you. Just gentle movements. Okay, now go into a hover and then land carefully. There we go. Now we're going to do the yaw thing. Take off again. get yourself in a nice stable hover. Relax and gently press A while moving your mouth to the right to keep you level. Then D, and then move your mouth to the left to keep yourself level. As you yaw, the tendency is to tilt down, so you just need to compensate by the other way. So when you yaw right, you need to pitch left a bit. Spinning, yeah, you can spin as much as you want, but each one compensates for each other. But yeah, the key thing to note is when you yaw right, just give it a little bit of left pitch. That's all. That's it. We can land her nice and gently. There's seriously no point in being a cowboy. Fly safe, then later on you can fly hardcore. Alrighty, your first square flight pattern. We're gonna be taking off, leveling off, getting to a stable hover. Then we're going to be flying down the runway. We're going to be turning 90 degrees, flying a little bit up, turning 90 degrees, and then flying all the way back up the runway, and then landing. So, do what you did before, climb to an altitude you feel safe at. Make sure you're at a nice hover, with not too much speed over the ground. And then ease the nose forward until you start to pick up speed. Doesn't matter if you're a bit wobbly. I'm still a bit wobbly. Just gently, gently. You'd be surprised how fast you're actually going, considering the speed over ground. And how long it would take you to walk the whole runway. Okay, now pull back on the stick a bit. Slow down. Okay. Go back into a hover. Now yaw to the left and pitch a bit to the right to compensate. Okay, there we go. Now forward a bit. Keep your finger on the throttle. Make sure you don't lose too much altitude. Okay, yaw a bit to the left while compensating, and then slowly but surely, if you want to level out you can, slowly but surely dip the nose forward by pushing your mouth forward. Now if you had to push your mouth forward too much, you would prang into the runway. You'd prang into the runway quickly, but you'd still prang into the runway. So just build up the speed slowly. And also remember, you can go quite fast in these things, so don't underestimate their speed. Okay, now's the time to start pulling back or leveling out, and then pulling back, and then reduce your speed over ground and land. And that is basically it. Any other flight maneuvers are basically just iterations of your square pattern. I've included the cinematics in the video to show you the actual movement of the chopper, so that you can actually visualize what it is, what it looks like in like third person, so that when you're in the chopper and you're back, or you're left or right, or you pitch back, or you roll right or roll left, you can actually see how much the chopper moves. It's not that much, just a little bit to stop. Only when you're going really fast do you have to pull back a lot. And that's it. We made it back alive. One piece. And a nice gentle landing. Well done. Okay, our next mission is to fly to the harbor. It's over the mountains in, I believe, a northerly direction. Could be wrong. But we do exactly the same as before. Hover, take the bird straight up. Take it up as high as you can. You get a nice bird's eye view of the whole map. You'll notice there's a bit of a bounce when it gets to the top. Now you can yaw much as you want. Level it out. Now comes the crux. Just a little bit forward. See the rotor? You can see the main rotor there. Don't let the rotors go too much don't let them touch the trees per se. See, we're coming up from the south there. And we're moving quickly. Doesn't look like it, but we are. And you just carry on at this speed. Now obviously if you're on a densely populated map, there's people shooting at you. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But this video is it's primarily aimed at the people that can't fly or are too scared to fly, and just want to get around the map. Even if it's a friendly map, they just want to get around the map a bit quicker. Walking's for losers. So yeah, just keep up the speed. Maintain the pitch. Maintain the roll. Now as soon as you start getting to your destination, you can slow down by pulling it back. You have to pull back all the way, just a little bit. Fortunately the mini heli doesn't have a speedo, which would be nice, like the scrap heli. But yeah, now you can start scouting for a place to land. Generally, landing in the monuments is not always a good idea because there's barrels and all types of crap that you don't see until the last minute. So I normally always land on the outskirts. Also, if there's anybody in the monument, it's easier to get out if you're on the outskirts than if you land slap bang in the middle of the monument. So that looks like a fairly nice flat place to land. You can look down by pressing Alt, but we'll leave that for later. There we go. Couldn't have gotten a better landing than that. And that's it. Chopper's even hidden in the bush. Like a boss. Okay, now same cinematics, just from a different point of view. Now you can see how nice and gently we came up to the harbour. Slowed down sufficiently, and then we started to descend. And minded the trees, obviously. Chose our landing location. Flew to it slowly. No big rush in the beginning. Only time you should fly fast is if someone's shooting at you. Land. That's it. Smooth as silk. Booyah. Now comes the advanced flight maneuvers. These are definitely going to take a little bit of practice. Took me a while to get them right, and I'm still not such a good pilot. But flying low to the ground, avoiding power lines, telephone lines. If you can fly along the road at 5 to 10 meters. See, now I'm using the pitch, I'm using roll, and I'm using yaw. So, and especially going between trees. Like I'll go now, and then I'll yaw left, and I'll yaw right, to keep the back of the chopper from hitting the tree. And then speed down into a gully, and just make sure that you're not going too fast that you can't pull up in time. But like anything, it's like riding a bicycle. It just is difficult controlling a helicopter with a mouse. I mean, I wouldn't say difficult, it's just a different form of control that we're not really used to. Flying through trees can be a little bit on the hazardous side, although it depends on the trees. I've flown into oak trees that have done nothing, and I've flown into bushes that have completely destroyed my heli. So yeah, just be careful. You'll get the hang of it. But like weaving through the trees, you need to be able to use your pitch or your roll and your yaw at the same time, and obviously monitor your throttle and your speed above ground, otherwise you end up splatting into something. Just a bit of a buzz. And 180s are easy to do as well. Now this is low to the ground. Now remember, as soon as you start flying low to the ground and you're going really fast, as soon as you pull up a bit, your airspeed decreases and your altitude increases. To be dead honest, the only time I've ever really found that I've needed to fly through the trees is when I'm being chased by another chopper with guns. Then it's balls to the wall, and generally you end up crashing anyway, or they do, one of the two. But most of the time you can send to maximum altitude and just fly to where you want to go and come in for a gentle landing. Okay, now this is the point of interest maneuver. Now it's a bit counterintuitive, because what you're going to do is you're going to be rolling to the right, but you're going to be yawing to the left and also pulling a bit back. So, see, I yaw to the left, I roll to the right. So I'm keeping the power line in the center of my view. Obviously not very symmetrical, but anyway. You still roll to the right and yaw to the left. So you're basically just sidestepping around whatever it is you want to sidestep around, or whatever you choose as your point of interest. After this, I'll show you the fast landing. Wouldn't call it an emergency landing, but it's a. You need to get down on the ground quickly. This is how you do it. And then pull out heavy, and you're down, and jump out. And that's it. And then run away if somebody's chasing you. Okay, then the next thing, this is also Rust specific to the heli, you can taxi around. So what you do is you climb into the heli, you hold down the control button, and then you hold W, and using your D and your S key, or your A key, you can actually taxi around on the ground as long as you're holding the control button down. So you can kind of drive it around. It's good for getting it into a garage, if you build yourself a hangar, or sometimes it's good for getting the chopper out of like sticky situations where you're like caught between a rock or on a banister or whatever. Okay, this is a bit of a tricky one. I wouldn't suggest trying this out until you can at least hover quite well and do everything really slowly. Don't worry, there's bloopers at the end of the video. Okay, now this is another thing specific to Rust. If the chopper's going down, you can jump out. So it's going down and jump out. So essentially you jump out before it explodes, because if you stay with it and it explodes, you die automatically. So try and make sure that you're not too high up off the ground and jump out. Okay, now for the Alt look button. If you're in a hover, which is as you get better, you'll feel more comfortable flying and looking around. But now we're in a hover position. Now we hold down Alt. Now what Alt does is it stops your pitch and your pitch and your yaw, as well as your roll. So you can look around. Now what you can even do is when you hold Alt, you can look all the way to the back, and you can add more fuel if you didn't put enough low grade in to begin with. So you don't actually have to land to refuel the chopper. But now we're just gonna give that's quite a small place to land. Once you can land on places like these, then you can start doing like the dome, the train yard, quite a lot of places that require, there's a small area to land, and you can only really get there with a chopper, or it's a bitch to get there with cards and all types of other crud. You can even do launch site with the chopper. I did a video for that. I'll put that in the description. I'll put a link for that in the description as well. That's it. I'll park like a bit of a doers, but what can you do? As long as the chopper doesn't get stuck, you're all good. And then take off. Good to go. Okay, this is the same cinematic of the flight that we just did. This is definitely quite interesting to watch. One thing you must always remember: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Not too shabby. Now you'll see here, I jump out just before it crashes. And I jumped out there. See? And that's what saved me. So yeah, bail out the chopper before it blows up. Always remember that the slower you can fly the chopper, the faster you can fly the chopper. Because if you've got that dexterity for tiny, like, small movements, then translating that into fluid, long movements is not difficult at all. It really isn't. But you just need to develop that touch as far as altitude, your pitch and roll goes. But it's still a bitch. Still takes practice. And if you don't practice it every day type of thing, you get rusty. It's like riding a bicycle. But as long as it doesn't go clang, 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 and bits and pieces fly off it when you land, any landing you can walk away from is a good one. Okay, so here's an interesting flight that, to be dead honest, I only found out about a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't find it on the internet. I actually discovered it by myself. Landing these things at night is a bitch, especially if it's dusk or twilight. It's you can kind of make out. Like now you can make out. But if it's pitch black, you can't see anything, you're screwed. It's not like the scrap heli that's got a built-in front light that you can actually see where you are, see where you're going. So what do? A miner's hat, not the one with the candle, the one with the lamp. You stick one of those on, and bang, look at that. All of a sudden you can see the deck. Yeah, hell, you can even fly through the forest with it. And I found this out just purely by coincidence, because I stayed in a cave at one stage, and yeah, I think I fat fingered F, and all of a sudden, like, everything was lit up. I was like, oh, nice. Now the minicopter has headlights, or headlamp, should we say. Now you can see it's pitch black. You can't see fuck all. But when you turn your headlamp on, you can see your fuel gauge, which is quite important. There we go, reads. Sweet. And then just look for obviously we don't need to land now, but anyway, just to show you the idea. Keep keep on looking for a spot to land. That looks good. And then just slowly land. And that's it. Bob's your uncle. You just landed in the pitch dark. Oh, I did forget to mention one thing. Obviously, if you're in a chopper with a headlamp, people can see you. And if they can see you, they can shoot you. So, don't go like brandishing it around like I'm doing now. I'm on a dedicated server, so I don't have anything to worry about. But yeah, just turn it on just before you land type of thing. Much safer. So this video serves no purpose to man or beast other than can you do it type of thing. So yeah, upside down now, but we're still dropping, and then slowly, well actually not slowly, quickly roll it up and then increase jam W until you have arrested the fall. Okay, so fly forward. Now as you upside down, press the S key instead of the W key, and then when you flip around, press the W key again. Takes a little bit of practice. I don't know what the point of it is, but anyway, it's not like flying upside down is more fuel efficient. I suppose maybe you, if you had a gunner, you could potentially hit more people. I don't know, but I doubt it. Things would be complicated. Generally, helicopters aren't meant to. I was close. I almost hit that rock. The second one was definitely a better. I rolled it back around quicker this time, so I was higher. And that pretty much sums it up. Gotta work on my cinema graphics. And my flips, because that doesn't look so good. Yeah. Oh! What happened? Huh? What happened? I don't think you should fly. I think it's a bad idea. Rather ride a horse. Ha! You thought I forgot about the bloopers. Yeah, they are. Whoa, fuck! God damn it! Whoa, 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 whoa! Ooh, boy. Whoa, Stupid fucking thing. And here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. No, that's not roll, Chris. That's crash. And again. Upside down. Roll. 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 That's not roll, you fucking idiot. Get a fly hack violation of my own fucking shirt. Alright, you can do it. Only one A. Screw this shit. I'm going out. Ah, check that shit out. You're a pig's fly.